Abby Gooch, and I'm so excited you are here with us today. And I have a dear, dear friend, I consider her a soul sister, who has been following her intuition for quite some time. And I don't know, Elle, I think it was several months ago we had the opportunity to work together. And it was just such a profound thing to see you step fully into yourself and just really take your power and just know that you're here to do great things. And man, girl, I feel like you're even bolder than I am. You just moved to another country. So she is now in Florence, Italy. And so she has a following with Elevate with Ellie. And I just wanted to bring her on the show today because, like I said, I adore her and just feel that she really has so much to offer this world and just really stepping in to being who you are from your intuitive core. So Ellie, welcome to the show, sister.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be here. And you've been such a gift and a light in my life, and someone that has just inspired me to follow my intuition and to really not even just follow it, but trust it deeply. Yeah. And no room for doubt in that inner voice. It's so strong and it's so valuable. And I think in a world where we have so much access to exterior knowledge and we have so many other resources, we forget the innate wisdom that we hold within ourselves, and we're so often seeking outside of ourselves when, all we have to do is come back to here. And that's something that I've just learned from you, and I'm so grateful for that. So thank you.
Oh my God. Thank you. And I love that you mentioned that, because Alyssa, one of our team members, did a PDF with me on the confidence to follow your intuition, because it's like, we know it, but it takes confidence, right? To be like, okay, I'm going to follow what I know. So I would love for you to share, I'm so glad I could be that in your life and you in mine, but what is that part that kind of clicks on with you that's like, yeah, I am going to trust that. I'm going to confidently take this next step and maybe feel the fear and do it anyways. What is that inner light switch?
Yeah, I think it starts with following your intuition in small ways, because you have to, similar to a relationship with someone else, you have to gain the trust, and you have to learn yourself and listen to yourself and know and trust that it's going to lead you in the right places. And so for me, I felt like it was listening to those smaller voices, right? Of, is this friendship supporting me? Is this friendship valuable? Or what do I want to have for dinner tonight? Very simple, easy things that inside of you, but just starting with the very most little simple things. And as you start to do that and really tune in, you start to use that voice for bigger decisions. And I think the confidence piece comes in knowing that no one is living in your body. No one's going to live your dream. No one's going to have your intuition. And I think it comes with trusting that you are on your own unique path. And, that confidence for me personally switches on in my body. If at any point I am confused in the mind, I always come back to the body. How does it feel within me physically? And your body will be your most loyal constant in your life. It will tell you when something is dark. It will tell you when something is light, when it's heavy, when you need to walk away. And I think back to, I was actually on a little walk with myself, and I envisioned little Ellie, inner child Ellie. And I was in the streets of Italy. We were walking down the cobble streets together, and I just took her hand. And I remember at the end of the walk, this is real time. And I had this moment where I was like, this is either really spiritual or I'm just really crazy right now. But I walking alongside the river, and I picked her up, little Ellie. And I said, that voice that tells you when you're hungry? She's like, yeah. I was like, that voice is going to tell you when to create something, when to take it down, when to move, when to change, when to love, when to leave, when to sleep. And I can guarantee you that little voice is going to carry you in this entire lifetime, and you can trust it. And I want you to listen to it. And it was just this moment of my adult self connecting with my inner child, of that voice that we have from such a young age. We are born with it. And coming back to that moment of when you were a little kid and you just expressed emotion because you were feeling it, and you just made a decision because you felt it within you. It's connecting back to that same phase of your life.
Yeah. No, you're 100% right. I mean, as you know, we have the intuitive child with Krishna now for kids, and it really is to that point of
Oh,
like, we have that innate wisdom all the time. And so for listening and being like, this just doesn't feel right. I don't know why. It just doesn't. And I'm going
yeah.
to trust that. Or conversely, like, this feels really good. I'm going to fly to Italy. Okay.
Yeah, and a lot of the time, like a lot of times our intuition doesn't make any sense.
Amen.
Like we're like, I have no evidence to support why I'm feeling this. I'm just feeling it.
Yeah.
But the minute that you take that step, the universe catches you, and maybe it's not right away that you completely know in your heart that that was the right decision, but that's where you fall into more trust. And I really think intuition and building confidence in your intuition is a deep trust within the self, and a deep trust in the magnitude of this source energy that supports us from the back end, because, it is a leap of faith to just trust your intuition when everyone is saying the opposite, or when there is no proof that this could work out. It's such a beautiful, terrifying space to be in. But if we are not uncomfortable at parts of our life, like, there won't be growth. And this is where the magic happens.
Yeah. I mean, it feels like flying. You're like, okay, I'm going to this destination, but you're just, woo, like, I'm just going to lift a little bit and let that wind beneath my wings carry me, because like, the plane's bigger than me.
And one of my great friends, Rachel, she does craniosacral therapy in San Diego. And she told me that faith, like trusting your intuition and faith, is like running off of a diving board into an empty pool. And like right as you're about to fall, like water fills. And I'm like, that is just the most beautiful vision that I bring to mind when I think of trust and your intuition. Like, your will always be full, like your cup will always be filled. You are supported endlessly.
Yeah. So I'm wondering if you can give an example to the listeners about intuition, that they know that they're following their intuition, because I love that you said it's very body centered, which I agree. I talk about being like a gut feeling, but to kind of like really give somebody the experience of like, hey, that is your intuition. So they discern the difference, right? Because like you said, there's so much. There's like people's thoughts, like your own thoughts, like whatever's going on around you. Like, there's so much energy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'll give an example of something that actually was a little bit scary to me, but I was interacting with this man that proposed a business opportunity. And it was a man that had a very, very famous following, identity. I was in the industry, in the wellness industry, and also in luxury. And I was so excited about this opportunity. Like, I was like, oh my gosh, this connection could change my life. Like, meeting this person and this person reaching out to me to propose an opportunity could be the very thing that sets me up for success for the rest of my life. And we were on the phone several times discussing this opportunity, and I felt so mentally confused. It was all positive messaging. It was all positive proposals, but something felt off. And I was trying to convince myself, like, Ellie, no, this is amazing. Like, you can't just, your gut's telling you something, but no. Like, this is going to be life-changing. And so I remember calling my friend like a few days later, and she was like, Ellie, how does your body feel? And I said, I feel sick to my stomach. And she was like, that's all you need to know. Mm-hmm. And that moment after we hung up, I messaged this person. I completely let everything go. I said I didn't want to be involved. And my entire being felt this relaxed, just sinking into relief. And I knew in that moment that I had followed my intuition, had guided me. And even though there was this promising, really incredible opportunity, it was not sitting right in my body. And so I think that's a great example of something from the outside that can look really good or feel really good, but your body is telling you that something's off.
Mm-hmm. Oh my God. I just had as you know, very similar experience for the last 3 days, like sick to my stomach. In fact, a lot of my team was sick too. They're like, Abby, I felt nauseous for the last few days. Like the same day I was like, whoa, we are all connected. And it's international. Like some of them are in Australia, they're feeling it. I was like, holy goodness. And then a client actually in San Diego was getting a headache. I was like, oh my God, it clearly affects people. But the point, similar to you, as to like my gut, my intuition is like, something is off here. And then I too, as intuitive as I am, was like, well, let me see if I can make this work. Like, No, I think that like maybe that would be okay. And actually to the point where like I'd even get like a body reaction, like my eye would like puff and I'd be like, what is going on? But it's like, I feel we want to convince ourselves sometimes when our intuition is like, hello, you know? And I think going back to the point of trusting it, like if we can trust that is the higher part of us that knows, even though we may not like it or agree, because it's like, it's actually showing us something that maybe we can't see. Like you said, it doesn't always make sense 100%. Like your intuition is beyond your intellectual mind.
Exactly. And I think too, it ultimately comes down to limiting beliefs as well, because if we think that something can only happen one way, then we're less likely to follow our intuition, because our intuition doesn't make sense a lot of the times. And it isn't this conventional way of being. And there's not as many limits. There's not limits on intuition. Typically the answers, quote unquote, if you will, that seems true and seems more normal, when that's not going to be the path that you're supposed to take, but in your mind that seems like the only answer. And so starting with understanding that, you know, whatever is destined for you can happen in any way, and any solution that you need can unfold in so many different ways that you aren't even aware of. And so knowing that you can trust your intuition, and then also just put trust in the universe to take care of how whatever you're worried about is going to unfold. You don't have to worry about the steps and how that's going to happen. Just trust what you're feeling and follow it, and you'll be supported in every other way.
Oh my God, that's so beautiful. Okay, how can people follow you, Ellie? Where can they start learning more about thrills?
Yeah. Well, I have a podcast. It's called Elevate with Ellie Stiles. It's out on Spotify and Apple Podcast. And then you can follow my Instagram. It's Elevate with Ellie Stiles. And if you're curious about my Italian adventures, I am Ellie in Italy on TikTok.
I love it. It's just so awesome. I mean, it's just, you're living it, and it's just words of wisdom. Like, it gives me chills, because to me, that is integrity. Like, people, I mean, as you know, like 10 years ago, like just constantly come up to me, because it's that presence of like living it. And you are that, like you are living it. And so I think to trust you is such a gift, right? Because it's like, how can you trust somebody that's actually practicing what they preach? Of course you're going to trust them.
And I want to be transparent in terms of like moving here. You know, it was 6 months ago, longer. It was May of 2021 where I had this download come through that told me to quit my job. And I didn't quit until February 22nd, 2022. And it took a while for that to integrate within me and really trust that. And I think it's important to give that voice time and space to grow, and for you to develop a relationship with it. And something as big as quitting my corporate job to move to a foreign country wasn't something that I wanted to jump on immediately, but I knew that that voice was there. But I think more than just making the move, you know, I arrived here and I had this idea of, you know, my Italian lover would be at the airport, my TikTok would blow up, and everything would be beautiful. And, you know, there are so many beautiful things happening here. But the number one thing that I have learned in this move is, when you feel like you've surrendered, surrender more and trust more. And I have no idea what this year holds. No, not a clue. And I have just a deep trust in the unfolding of it. And it is a scary place to be. And yes, there are days where I wake up and I am like, what am I doing? Like, I miss California. I miss my friendships. I miss so many things, but I am reminded like each day to come back here, come back to the present moment, be in love, be in gratitude, because when we are in that present moment, we are not worried about yesterday or tomorrow. We are just here, present moment. And that also allows you to connect to your intuition, because it is such an energy that is just with you right in front of you. And the more I put my energy to this conversation right now and not thinking about what's tomorrow or what's after this, like, there is so much love and contentment there. And if we can just do what we can to stay in that space, that is when fear and doubt and worries dissolve, because we're just here and now.
Yeah. And ironically, that present moment takes you to the next moment from that very connected, intuitive place.
Yes, 100%.
Wow, I love that. My goodness. Well, is there any just like stories or adventures you want to like share, since you've been there
Mm.
about like my intuition said to go down this street, and this is what I
Ah,
found?
absolutely. It happened today. I was out shopping around and I was like, I'm gonna go back home, and I'm really focusing on friendships right now. Friendships mean so much, and I just want to build as many as I can here. And I was leaving some stores, and I was on my way home. I was walking along the river, and there's this little cafe by this hotel right in the river that I've always wanted to go to. So I stopped there. They had one table left. I sat myself down, also kind of going out of my comfort zone in terms of going somewhere and sitting by myself to have a beverage. And I messaged a friend that I had just met the previous night through a different gal. So we weren't close yet by any means. And I was just like, hey, like, are you free? You should come meet me for a drink and have a little coffee. And she's like, I just woke up from my nap. I'll be there in 5 minutes. And we just had a beautiful conversation and connected so deeply. And it just comes back to like, I've been calling in friendships. And then I have this moment of just being led, guided, and sit
Right.
here and text this person. And
Right.
I almost didn't message her because I was like, no, I need alone time. It's the full moon. Like I got it. And it was amazing. So that's just a small example.
But it's like one step. You're like, my intuition says just sit myself down here, and then it leads to the next thing, right? So it really is that just moment to moment, and then it starts opening and expanding even more.
Exactly. And even today, like in the morning, I typically wear my headphones kind of when I'm strolling around, like have some music in the background for the vibe. And my intuition was like, Ellie, don't wear your headphones today. Like, don't. And I was like, okay, like, there must be some guidance that wants to come through that might not come through when there's a lot of distraction. And I was walking along the street, and I just had like this ping pong like business idea pop up in the middle of the street. And I like stopped, wrote it down in my notes, and kept walking. And I was like, that's why I wasn't supposed to wear my headphones today.
Totally. Just be able to have the silence to receive. Yeah, absolutely. So I just want to go back to what we were saying about connecting with your intuition. So as you're listening to Ellie, she's talking about, just didn't feel right. Like my intuition knew not to, right? So it's going to be a feeling that's like, yes or no. Like a yes is a yes. That's why it feels good. And a no is a no. That's why it doesn't. And then also the feeling in your body, like that gut wrenching, like, I mean, for me, it's like sick to my stomach or like clenching, or an expansion of like, I just feel great and free. Like, I mean, I too traveled a lot internationally. It's like, you just hop on a plane and it's like, you're going to be taken care of. It's just like a lift off. It's a lightness. So to kind of find, your emotional yes and no and your physical yes and no, that is your intuition, your soul speaking through you as you. So just to
something that you can do when you're really looking for an answer, or you're really trying to tap into your intuition, like really take a moment, close the eyes, hand over heart, hand over belly, and take a few breaths to ground. Just get into your body. You can be in your car. I mean, keep your eyes open, but wherever you are, just finding as much stillness as possible. And then bringing that question to mind of whatever you personally feel confused about, or you're looking for an answer. And that immediate answer that comes up, boom, trust it. Because after that comes condition, comes stories, comes all of these things are not yours. So that immediate, you ask yourself the question, boom, what comes up?
Yeah.
Trust it.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. It's the first thing. It always is. I remember when I started, it was, I was like 19, as you know, and I was like, hey, what's the first thing? Trust it. Like, you just know because the moment you doubt, then your mind starts coming in and wanting to analyze it. That your immediate innate knowing of your intuition is the truth.
Yes.
I feel like you can also use your intuition to know, like, if somebody is lying, or if you're like, not being fully honest, like you can get a sense of what is actually true. And so for me, I work with a lot of business owners, and it's like, I can help them discern for their own companies, like you did in your business situation, like,
yes,
still quite right. So just listening to that knowing of truth can move you into a center point as well. I love the heart and the gut thing. But to me, it's just truth. To me, it just brings like certainty and a sense of freedom, because it's just kind of like grounds things, right? It's like, if in doubt or confused, like, go to the truth, go to your knowing, and then you can set the course correctly and know which direction to go.
Absolutely. Yeah. And you helped me so much. I worked with Abby, and we did some intuitive work, and she just did a lot of healing for me on something that was really just impactful in my life. And it's the words you said were, it wasn't you, you're enough. And I think that message can be applied to anyone, and wherever you are and whatever chapter you're in, like, you are enough. You hold all of the wisdom you will ever need within you. And there is not anyone or anything or any place that you need to find those answers. Like, you are enough. You are whole as you are in this moment. And I think oftentimes trust comes with thinking that we need to be in a certain place in our lives and our healing to be able to trust ourselves, and just know and really hear this, that you, like, wherever you are right now, you're enough, and you can trust yourself here and now. And your inner voice will never leave you. It's always been there, and it's not going anywhere.
Mm-hmm. I love that. I mean, it's a part of you. It is you, you know? It's just, man, I just love it. It's so good, Ellie. My goodness. Wow. Well, is there anything else you want to share with the audience about just anything? Intuition. I mean, they know where they can find you now, which is so exciting. She has such beautiful posts, and like, it's just so beautiful.
Yeah, I think just this like added message of continued surrender and understanding that you are co-creating with the universe, and like, you are connected to source energy at all times. And because of that, you are never alone. You will never be abandoned. You will never be on your own path. Like, you are connected to source energy at all times, and you have access to that at all times. So if you're ever feeling lost or confused or in a space that you don't want to be in, you can always tap back into that. And again, by grounding, by deepening the breath, coming back to the heart and the belly, and just knowing that you have this innate wisdom within you, and follow it and trust it, and just start to do that in small ways, and your path will unfold, and it will make all of the sense to you someday. It might not make sense right now, but it's all working behind the scenes for you and for your highest good.
That's so true. Just real quick before we log off, can you say what you're talking about, surrender? Because I feel like that's such a loaded word, because to me it's kind of like surrender, give up, like what? You know, like, what does that truly mean?
Yeah. You know, I think it's one of the hardest things, right? Like, oh, just let go. You're like, well, how?
Surrender to what? Like, what are you talking about?
How the heck do I let go? Well, here's the thing, is that we have our ego and we have our soul, and our ego plays a beautiful role in so many ways, but it can also interfere, right? And I think surrender is about letting go of the outcome, number one. Number two, trusting that whatever outcome is meant for you will find you, and really putting this openness out into the world of, okay, I have a desire, I have an idea of what I want, and this is what I see for myself, but I have so much faith and trust in the unfolding of my path, and that the universe has my back, that if it looks different, if I receive something else, I know that it is for my highest good. And so that surrender piece is really honoring your desires, letting them come through and holding those, but also being like, I will be content no matter what, because I know that I'm going to receive what's meant for me. And so the surrender piece, and people are like, you know, well, how do I freaking do this? Like, it's so hard. Number one, create that deep trust where you trust the universe so deeply that you know you're going to be given exactly what you need, and nothing that is for you will be taken away from you. And so every point in time that you might feel disappointed, or you feel like you lost, or something was taken from you, I want you to reframe that and switch it around and say, no, like, this wasn't meant for me, and it's being taken out of my life to create space for what is. And so you create that deep trust, and then a surrender statement, like, out loud. The other day I was really attached to this idea of a relationship, and I was sitting at my chair at like midnight at my desk, and I was like, okay, universe, I speaking out loud that I'm giving this to you to take because I'm overwhelmed, I'm disappointed, and this is not mine to have. And I trust that you will bring me exactly what I need. But because I'm in this state of overwhelm and stress about it, this must not be for me right now. And whatever this is bringing up for me is not for me in this moment. So I'm going to give this to you and trust that you'll bring love into my life at the exact time that I need it, and that I can receive it, and that person that I will be with can receive me. That statement. And then also last step to surrender and letting go is this is your permission to distract yourself. Okay. And I mean this once you've processed the emotions, focus on something else. Like if you are so attached and not wanting to let go of something, the universe doesn't know yes or no. It just sees the energy that you're putting towards that thing. So switch the energy, focus on something else. If you're obsessing about love right now or a job, move that to friendships, or move that to a creative project, or move that towards creating a new style, a new closet, like anything where you can completely switch the energy focus.
Right.
And all you have to do is say, okay, universe, I trust that you have my desire in your heart and you're going to deliver whatever's for me. I'm going to turn my attention here now. And that piece is also just so key. So that deep trust, surrender statement, and then yes, permission to distract.
I love it. That's so great. And I just want to take it one level deeper, Elle. When you say the universe,
yeah,
explain, because to me it's like pure unconditional love to know you're held in that. But again,
yeah.
that could be a charged word like God, the universe. So when you say the universe, can you define that energy so people know what they're surrendering to in the sense of, following this teaching?
Absolutely. So when I say the universe, which I also use terminology like God, spirit, source, I use all sorts of things depending on how they, how I feel like I relate to them in the moment. You could just say world, whatever feels good for you. Physically, that feels like comfort. It feels like stability. It feels like security. Energetically, it feels like unconditional love and limits, like unconditional opportunity, expansion. And I really envision in my head like two hands, like two massive hands, just holding our globe, like holding the physical globe. And when I think about source, universe, that's what I think about, is like an energy beyond, something that's like almost like a circular shield around our world, just holding us there. And again, I was Catholic. That's how I was raised. I believed in a God. And so maybe that did make it a little bit easier for me to connect to this higher being. And for those of you who maybe aren't connected to a source per se yet, I just want you to consider, not believing in something greater and believing in something greater. And like, what is the energy of that? How does that sit with you? And if you just imagine, two big hands just like holding you underneath your feet and like holding the ground, like how does that feel in your body? And then envision yourself in this earth with nothing. How does that feel? Well, if the ulterior is comforting, just kind of follow that and just start to connect with that. But I know it is a heavy word, and even spiritual is a big word, right? People are like, I'm not spiritual, or we are spiritual beings, like on an earthly realm. And we're going to live a human life and a spiritual one all in one. And I think it's important to call out that your journey is going to look different from somebody else's, and spirituality doesn't have to look one way. It can look so many different ways. And it's not just writing down your manifestations and journaling and sitting in the corners of your house, like creating this sacred space. Like it's going out into the world and having experiences and putting this into practice. But again, just an emphasis on like, this is your journey and you have the freedom and expansion to make it whatever it is that resonates with you.
And you'll know it too, because to me, it's your purpose as you're
Yeah.
following your intuition. And just to kind of bridge what you're saying with, the human experience and physical or spiritual experience, you have physical kind of, and then spiritual,
Yeah.
right? One of the
Yeah.
ways they really do actually work together. But one of the ways I think that you can probably experience that have you ever just been like, I know this person, or I know I'm supposed to meet them. So, our mutual friend, Grace, right? So she
Yes.
used to live in our neighborhood. So I remember when I first moved here, she was like, I know that I know you. And I was like, well, maybe it's a soul thing because I don't think we've met yet. And so she just came over, I think it was yesterday. And as we were just connecting, I was doing some work on her. She was like, I was holding her feet and I was like, Grace, I felt your spirit before I moved back here when I was in Oregon. I too knew that we were supposed to meet. So I'm telling you that because I believe we all, if we really tap in and feel our intuition, we can actually feel the energetics of our connections to each other and everything. That's why my company is called Life Force Connection, because
Yeah.
energy moving that we feel beyond the physical that then turns into the physical. So when you become so intuitive that you are listening to it, taking action on it, it starts to manifest. Friendships, your partner, your business, like as you kind of said earlier, the sky's the limit. There are no limits because you are working with infinite energy. And when it's your intuition, because it's your soul, it's going to be in service to everyone and everything because your soul is love. So it's just such a powerful practice to realize how much you know if you really sit with just the simple techniques that we've given you today. Ellie shared, like put your hand on your heart, the other hand on your belly, like move into the yeses, move away from the no's, take action.
Yeah.
You will find you're living this like magical adventure called your life. And like Ellie, you and I have some pictures from the meditation gardens. I think I posted like loving our beautiful, wild, magical life because it really is. It's like, it will surprise you. It will awe you. I mean, I remember right before you left, we shared like some moments of just being like sitting in our houses and being like, wow, we're just crying with tears of gratitude and love and awe. Like it's so beautiful when you actually see the interconnectedness of all. So if you could just trust that and just know that that intuition within you, like Ellie said, is bringing you back, if you're not already there, to that place of wholeness. You are enough. You are here for a reason. And I believe that we all are here to support each other, and wherever you are in the world, like we are holding you, you are held, and you are safe in that love.
Absolutely. And one more little story, because you'll appreciate this. Abby and I live in Encinitas, where there was like a beautiful SRF, self-realization fellowship. And I moved to Italy and I meet my neighbor in the stairwell, and I just immediately felt this warmth towards her. And I went up the other day to have lunch with her, and she was like, oh yeah, I study Yogananda. And I was like, wait, like, are you serious? And I was like, I just moved from Encinitas, and she's, studying this guru, if you will, that, was the center of our town. And it was just this like crazy, I moved across the world and someone upstairs is connected to where I just was.
Yeah. So beautiful.
We're
it's all
so
connected. It's all interconnected.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, thank you so much for being here today, Ellie. I just love, love, love and adore you. And just so excited. Make sure you follow her, please. Again, if you want to share, where can they follow you on Instagram? What's the quick way they can follow you on Instagram?
It's Elevate with Ellie Stiles.
There you go. Perfect.
Yeah.
Perfect.
But thank you, Abby. I'm so grateful that you're committed to your truth and putting these gifts out into the world to help people and guide them towards a better life. And I stand behind that, and also I'm on that path. So I'm just grateful for people like you and that are so committed to that, because we need more love, and that's what you're putting out there. So thank you for having me.
Oh, thanks so much, Al. I appreciate it. So everyone, you can follow us at www.lifeforceconnection.com and also on Instagram at Lifeforce Connection. Have a beautiful day. Talk to you soon. Bye.